Okay, I was just about to try reloading it, but it looks like we are rolling. And yeah, Destiny's on Michelle. No, it doesn't even say how recently. I thought it said an hour ago. Suddenly, it doesn't say anything. It's just your name. Um, but I do want to share this with her because you know it's not. Oh, now it says an hour ago again. It's not that it's all I got, but I guess we go through times in life where we feel certain things are maybe more present for us than other times. And I mean, I'm still fairly young, so I mean, I've most strongly been feeling that in my 30s, not entirely, but most strongly, and which I am in my late 30s. But you know, I'd have to think about. I'd have to think about it, and when I've maybe experienced it. That was a good chat I had with her. I was surprised she almost sounded like she'd give more time. She was talking to me at a lunch, I think. Um, I intended to go downstairs. I'd been upstairs for a while. I think I did a video. Then I was going to do an errand, but decided it was too windy and dusty, and I wasn't feeling up to it. So I had lunch, and then I think I went to the washroom, and then I came downstairs and noticed there was a voicemail, and then the dogs sometimes get noisy when I'm on the phone, and I just found myself back upstairs, and then I was in one call that was about 15, 20 minutes, and then I was in another one right after that called me. That was about that. And I was kind of surprised she didn't call in the morning, but whatever, because that's sometimes when she plays catch up. But if she had a lot to catch up with, I mean, didn't mind it, had finished her lunch or whatever. So that was a good update. She didn't mention the one thing about language for homeless person. She did ask at the end of it, is there anything else they talked about? It was like, I said, I don't think so. But, she also didn't say that she couldn't. So, I mean, that's cool. Um, but I just wanted to post this because I started to feel and sense, and I was unsure about doing it here, but I mean, I'm in a group, and honestly, like, well, maybe on a couple of them, but I mean, groups online can be great, but they can also be notorious for spam. I mean, of course, there could be that kind of stuff on here, and I don't look at the comment section often in general on YouTube, but every now and then, it seems to have fairly good filters. It seems to be pretty good at catching those things. So I didn't, I think he kind of knew. One reason was the person that passed away recently. The other reason was that I just want to learn, and they are completely open with that. Initially, when I was kind of getting involved in this agency, there was something that made me think that no, you had to be diagnosed, but and it's true. I guess I'm saying that I got the initial, like, it's really confusing. I think she was the one I was talking to today said that one usually from a younger age, and it can progress into pre and then type 2. So I guess the pre is like to the worst you can have it. And since she was looking at it, I really don't think she had it to that level, but she said no, 2 doesn't come before 1, because I thought that didn't make sense, but I thought that's what I kept kind of hearing. So now I'm not really sure. And I thought she had said, and she had it all life, that she had 2, and that was the worst type. Well, oh yeah, I guess it would be right. Maybe she had said that started out with juvenile. Anyway, part of the matter is that and that was actually quite in depth, Natasha. So I want to maybe revisit some of that stuff. I felt her presence was present. And this is for me, but I don't mind sharing it. And I am feeling low energy, and I have some sorting I want to do with on top of it, and I want to see the dog. I just want to be downstairs. I've been up here a lot, but basically, I covered And that email, I think it was essentially saying apply for next year. It wasn't for sure if it was a reply, but anyway, to my wanting to submit for this year, but seemed a little bit early for the volunteer. But anyway, sorry. What I just wanted to share is that my friend who passed away, I feel like was telling my telepathy. Well, one thing I'm hearing right now is that I deserve to know if I have a health condition that I am not 100% sure whether I have. She says, buddy, it would be hard, but you should know what you're up against, essentially, or what's just like you do with your other conditions. I actually was telling was a little bit about the I just get a cold neck, a little bit about the my evidence what the doctor said. Otherwise, it's good. She's works in close contact with him, but I mean, in a way that's kind of just the way doctors kind of are. I don't want to say he's dismissive, but that is a word actually that's come to mind. I didn't think of it on the phone call, but basically she says, but you're doing the right things in trying to get information, trying to figure it out. And the truth is, Court, that we all care about you and miss you from where we are up in heaven here. But you can survive this. You can survive with this. And if you can catch it, I know it's a bit of a trigger. It sounds like a bit of a food trigger. She says, sorry, but I mean, if you can catch it early, she says, even though sometimes life is hard, you can still have a really good quality of life, and I want you to have that. We'll be here waiting. We'll be here with your ability, your gift. You haven't completely lost us, and the truth be told, none of us have. I mean, I understand. I get it. Even with the ability, when someone is no longer in the physical and we can't call them up, hear their voice, out loud or strongly out loud, we can't get together with them like we used to. It's hard and it's sad. And I'm not saying it's not, but if we allow ourselves to, we can all have this ability. I just don't want to be, especially the good ones, the legit ones, because they, just like anybody else who has a gift or a skill, they just don't always need the training for it. They're trying to make a living. I'm not saying that some aren't scams, but and unfortunately some are. But yeah, basically just kind of saying that, and that she would tell any of her friends, and honestly anybody, this. I mean, she, as the viewer left right away, is like, okay, it's up to you. Just kidding. But they just tuned in a moment ago. But she was very caring, and I understand that this is maybe not unusual, but at the same time, I want to say it's what made her special, but that's not necessarily the wording I want to use. Basically, it's very interesting. Messenger is showing right now stuff that actually could be quite symbolic if I think about it. Glenn's page, a mutual friend who I've done some podcasting with, another now mutual friend who I've done one with and plan to do one or two more probably with, and who knows how many in the future. And then one that says Facebook user. It's not loading chat like the two beside it. It's not seemingly blocked, and I can't remember who it would have been. It showed as just like a white circle until I opened it. It looks like I could type and send something. I'm tempted to. Like I know that sometimes it'll say that along the top, but then just under it or whatever, or if you're using a computer and like on the icon, if you hover over it, it would say their name. I'm not sure why it does that. So I'm tempted to send that one, but I'm not sure who it is. And we could say at this point in time, metaphorically, I guess you would say, maybe it's spirit. And just reminding me that I've got them. I've got those other two people. I have strangers who I could still impact and who could still impact me. I mean, and in my testimony, a bit tight too. And basically, Tash was pretty much saying, yeah, you might want to just get checked about those tests that you got like a few weeks back and see if they're telling you. You'd think that if something like that, they tell you, but the amount of people that they go through and that they see, they might not. So I think I'm going to go till maybe 1 o'clock. That's exactly a half hour. And I do really want to get downstairs. It's not that there's not lovely sun coming through the room. It does get a bit warm up here. I just want to be sitting in a more comfortable seat. That was kind of speaking to me, and yes, it's very open about health stuff, but technically it's my health team, so any type of health, and that's what the center said. Whether it's you're dealing with addictions, this disorder, mental health, and how they can all be connected. I was actually surprised that they asked if I was part of a community, but they didn't ask about mental health diagnosis. I guess they figure I can disclose that whenever I want to, but I was surprised. And to people that aren't, especially older people, they might actually be turned off by that, especially also how much rainbows are. It's 9 out of 10 of the staff. It's amazing. And 2 of them are actually of foreign background that I almost want to say like Muslim or something. So it's really interesting. But you know what? It also reminds me of how much my loved ones, including this friend that recently passed, are wanting me to feel welcomed into this community and safe and informed and sharing with me things that are connected to it all that also were connected to our, whether when they were living or since, to what we know about each other. Like she said, she's kind of saying, well, yeah, my name keeps popping up, my first name. She says hers. Sitting right next to someone the other day, the one that called me today. It almost didn't faze me both times until I took a moment. It's like, and then I even verbalized it. She says that I know and sense that our connection to each other when I was alive and now, she says, is important to you. And I'm appreciative of it also. She says she's proud of me for wanting to learn and help other people live healthy, happy lives. Says you were always one, and still are, that likes to try and make people feel good and happy and accepted. And just like myself, and she says, and that's the reason that I, started to, see you as a stronger friend. She says, if I'm being honest, this is interesting to me, and I don't necessarily disagree. She says, I do feel it might be because of certain feelings that were that maybe she never forgot about either, mutually and just that I'd expressed. But she says, and I mean, I have this gift, so she's going to come to me because I have this gift, and that. She didn't say that, but she says, I do feel like. Well, she says I do and I don't. She kind of wants to say that she thinks that I feel closer to her than she feels to me. But she says maybe that was somewhat how it was like on when I was living. She says, don't get me wrong, buddy, you matter to me. I think you're a pretty cool person that people would be lucky to have as a friend. But she says, I'm sorry that sometimes you feel lonely. But she says, I had a lot of friends. I worked a lot. I did have my family. Um, she's actually saying that she's sorry if I felt like she wasn't there enough as a friend. And you know what? I realize, and I realize more so now, I think, that she had those things and she also had her health condition. She says, yeah, buddy. And like my spouse's niece says, it's a two-way thing. You both have to be putting in the effort. When someone passes, sometimes both regret not having done that more. And she says, I just don't want you, even though you're a bit older than me, to pass away from this or anything else anytime soon. She says again, we love you and miss you, but we still have a connection with you in some ways, and we should be thankful for that. And you should look after your health and continue to do so. And she says the diagnosis can be scary. She says, I was a kid when I found out that I had that condition. And she says, I felt like I felt like it was going to take my childhood. In some ways, it did at times from me. But, we caught it early from me. You're just maybe coming into it now. You can still catch it early. And I really did. I loved my life. I'm very thankful for the life that I had, she said. And you should be too. Says to me and sure, to you all. Basically, I just have to quickly go to the other room, but she says that I can catch this, still have a good quality of life, and when I was in the other room, I sort of felt like she was kind of saying she can call the doctor, and then she did her cute little laugh. but not that the rest of this hasn't seemed like her, but it seemed very spot on to her. Like I don't know how to express it if it didn't already come out the way that it did as I hoped it would. But essentially, and I think this is the one I wanted. Essentially, pretty much saying that. Like I guess essentially like saying she hopes that she's persuaded me, but she's a little I don't know, like she's not laughing because it's funny. It's almost kind of a nervous laugh. She said, "Yeah, I could sometimes be an anxious person, so I had that kind of laugh sometimes. But I like to laugh when things are funny. But your health is serious, my friend." And she says, "You know what? You don't want. I understand. You know, you don't want to worry. You don't want loved ones to worry or whatever. But the sooner you catch this and start doing what you need to do, um, the better. And you aren't wrong to just try and make every day great and not get too upset over small things. Just cherish your life and the people that are in it, like you did for me and your other loved ones. And nobody's guaranteed tomorrow, essentially. Um, so that does not mean you have to be doing thrilling things constantly or even much at all, but just trying to enjoy your days as much as possible. She says, I know it can be hard sometimes, but but you know, you aren't necessarily promised easy. And I actually do kind of sense my dad there, and I wondered. He says, I'm kind of speechless. He says, I kind of want to say more stuff. And you know what? She believed in me almost instantly. I hadn't even said all that much. And she just, yeah, probably. And then said to them more about me and it's that. I don't think she has no pit. Whatever. But yeah, my dad kind of says, kind of speechless that, that, my friend was really well spoken and spoke what was on the minds and hearts of all of them up there that loved me. He says you may feel ambivalent, and you're not the only one. To oh, just whatever, and come what may, may. Actually, birthday's coming up soon. So is me, right? But I think she wanted to say we've talked about this, her and I, that one other thing is that like you whether I get it and then end up telling when I like it doesn't seem like to be involved in this other agency I would actually need a diagnosis. Like she didn't ask for any medical records to be sent. She didn't ask for my doctor's name. Uh that's when I was diagnosed. I said it's very new. I don't even have the equipment, like a month or two. Um um yes, yes, from the community. She gave me some more information about some of the things they offer. Um, I wish I could remember, but there was only like a couple other things. She didn't ask about addictions, but she did say that they service people that have addictions, which makes me feel a little bit iffy. Like, I try and stay mostly away from that stuff. I mean, depending on like, what level. And I was talking a little bit about the office the other day, but the I was gonna say the show, no, yeah, no security is like it's kind of weird how they have like an entrance camera at their desk, even though they can see who's at the door. They may not be already familiar with them, but I think they do give away some free supplies, and that's one reason I think is because they don't just want random people, especially since it's a slight bit rough in that area, but not super far from where I live. That just coming in wanting those. I mean, yeah, these things, mental health in general, mental health, they all come into play. But at the same time, I also don't see the connection. But sounds like nurses are surprisingly easy, and it's just for educational purposes. They don't do anything other than that. Surprisingly easy to connect with there. Dietitians are, forget what the wording was she used, but hot commodity, I think. And counselors are more if you're in distress. So I think that actually narrowed it down if I feel like I need to do the one-on-one. But part of me feels like, not that I'm being dishonest, but part of me feels like I'm not going to really be easily able to, like, I'm not entirely sure, but it almost sounds like they like to check up on you. Like they obviously leave it very much to the doctor. But I mean, obviously, also when you're in this community, you're going to be talking about, certain things and certain, you know, struggles that you're having with it. And if I haven't pinpointed it to the specific condition, then it kind of feels like for lack of a different way to put it, I'm not quite in the same club. I mean, sure, in some ways, it's not a club you necessarily want to be in. But if that's what life brings you, just like, mental health or whatever, then I mean, and there are some things that don't necessarily have a particular place where you can go and meet people and such and such. But yeah, I feel that kind of lightheaded or whatever after being in one of the rooms for an hour. Well, like I say, I almost instantly felt better coming out to and it may or may not be noisy out there, but coming into the waiting room foyer area. So, um, but, uh, but yeah, my dad was pretty much wanted to say that they all know that I don't like to be uncomfortable. When I've been having these symptoms lately or whatever, it's kind of like I'm living with it for the past few weeks, 2 months, month and a half. But I more noticeably, but I am kind of annoyed, and therefore, yeah, I mean, some things it's lifestyle, like they say, like whether it's exercise, and now that the weather's nicer or getting nicer, exercise, diet. But I am picky. I mean, I'm on there, just whatever. I think actually, it was the dad that maybe said that she was known to be quite picky, but then he started talking about like oysters or mussels. Well, I mean, not everybody, obviously, but a lot of people would think those are gross, and we don't have to get into that. Nobody's been watching, but anyway, you know. But it's yeah. I mean, I can't blame her there, but and I'm not saying. I mean that there are various reasons, and we don't have to get deeply into it. Like people would be vegans or vegetarians, for instance. That's not necessarily picky eating as much as it's kind of a lifestyle choice. Like they might actually like those things if they chose to eat them, but they don't. But, yeah, but they don't. Um, but no, I remember she liked burgers. She liked chicken burgers, and yeah, you know, maybe that's something that kind of changed throughout her life. Here and there, that she was more picky than other times, and I used to be less picky food wise myself, but I can tell people about it. But send it to her. It's it's so they're just being very encouraging. So I think I'm going to wrap this up. And even though I want to get downstairs and relax, part of me is thinking I should call my doctor. And I mean, I was hesitant, but if I don't show it to him, it's not like a look, unless he gets comment. But again, honestly, like I say, just having this does not mean that, especially catching it early and not being born with it, does not mean that and the other thing that I feel like they wanted to remind me of, but this I feel is now coming from me because they just kind of hinted at it, like I say, on the screen, including one of my new friends who some people I think are just honestly angels on earth, you know. I believe there are angels among us, sent down to us from someone up above. They come to you and me in our hardest hours. Teach us how to live, remind us how to give something with the light of love. Right? I don't often sing a cappella. And actually, all three of these people that are staring me in the face on the screen, and that just kind of just so happened, are that to me. Honestly. Honestly. And I mean, I'm not saying that people that aren't are bad people. Some of them maybe not be great, but I don't necessarily feel like, especially in my 30s, for whatever reason, it's just not something I've easily found. Sometimes people do stupid stuff, but I thought, but like one of them's close to 80, one of them's in her 40s, somewhere in her 40s, I think. He's in his 50s, so I don't know if it's the mature. I don't know, and I'm an old soul, but I'm close to 40, you know. But I mean, and I just feel like my loved ones are saying, you know, they are providing me. They're providing me the possibilities, you know, acceptance, curiosity, wanting to collab, wanting to get me at events, even if some of them might be hard to get to, wanting to help our business. You know, this is actually someone who didn't initially buy from us. You know, wanting to help me get things. I don't know what we'd have to verify whether it's a gift or not. I mean, I'm nowhere near my birthday, but help me get things, and I don't want to wait until then, to feel authentic and happy with myself, about myself. And Ray says, yeah, it's pretty sweet. It's pretty sweet. Hey, buddy. And she's like, she wants to high five. You know, you're killing it, she says. That, you know, she would, because she was younger. Not, I mean, I'm young, and I don't actually kind of like that phrase. And she's like, oops. But as in, I'm not giving up. And because of that, man, more people need to see this. Because of that, good things are potentially coming. And I maybe don't even know the scope. I was talking about Chris's workplace the other day of what's to come. And I feel like she's saying it's okay to be a little anxious or uncertain and stuff. And it's also okay to kind of, you know, feel a sense of urgency for these things. And honestly, they are coming relatively quick. Now, she was saying Monday. And I guess this is kind of I mean, we'd already said that evenings weren't really the best for us. But as far as like being able to commit to certain things. But yeah, you can see that and then be like, oh, showing here, but over it wasn't there. So bad not. But yeah, so I really want to get downstairs soon, but I don't want the dog to be barking. But you know what they say makes a lot of sense. You know, barking because I'm on the phone because I like to do that. What they say makes a lot of sense. Sometimes, honestly, it feels like our angels are more present and more there for us than other times, but I think that's probably just how it feels. I mean, I'm sure they're doing their best just like we are, and life will do what it does. You know what I mean? But if that can be a good thing, then why not, right? And yeah, it's dad. I mean, I wondered if maybe one of the other ones was maybe coming in, but I think it's dad saying that, and you want to feel healthy so that you're able to welcome those things into your life. You know, if I was to, I just want this to be said because I don't know. If it happens to be my last video, that'd be the one he might likely come and look at, you know, eventually. But, you know, I don't feel like I'm that close to death for step. But basically, although sometimes, but basically, if I was to die today or tomorrow, I would want it to be known that although I have struggles and although I sometimes do feel really discouraged and sad and stuck, you know, in moving ahead. That's not to say that I'm not smart and can't help other people, and that I don't have you know that I have to. Again, I feel a lot like certain things maybe more so, but I feel like nobody is a complete expert, and I don't have to be either. But you know, I would say that I am pretty happy in my life. Happy for the home I live in, happy for those I live with. Um, I do experience good throughout my days. I do, yeah. So sometimes these are kind of quiet, but every now and then one does quite good. And in fact, as soon as I say it, somebody tunes in. But but if I can have, I guess, what you would call a prosperous future, and same with any of us, you know, wouldn't we, especially if we have possibly a health condition, you know, I guess what I'm noticing is even though I still feel some ambivalence, and that goes to kind of the first thing I mentioned with if I was to die tomorrow, it is true, this, and missing my loved ones, like which I feel like I'd feel even closer to when I pass away, and of course would pass away and be health restored because been through enough as a person, and then it's comforting for our loved ones, and why not, but I feel tight in this area for some reason. I don't know why. Just crossing my legs too much. I'm not really sure why. But but I think that I should check because I do think that there's something going on, and these tests should be finding it. You know, and if they still say there's not, I really don't feel like it's all in my head. I feel physical symptoms, and I mean, yes, I don't have the most active lifestyle sometimes, but and I feel like it's only at worst. But I mean, the nicer weather helps. But I think maybe just my system maybe was just not, especially near the latter part of it, was just struggling to get through another winter because the cold with my anemia. But the not being able, not feeling, longer days though, of course, but not feeling like I could get out on the bike as much or whatever it is, and maybe my depression hit deeper, and I don't know. I just think that there are a lot of things in it, and I hope the audio was recording. I mean, I'm doing the same as always. I did move the thing, but as far as I know, I am. But it is. But yeah, basically, so I'll wrap this up soon though. But basically, and at times when I'm like exerting a lot of mental, physical energy, yeah, I'm feeling it in the chest. Some would say that's normal, but I think I'm feeling it sometimes fairly noticeably when I'm doing fairly still low level stuff, kind of like this, like like I say, I was on those two phone calls, and then I figured I'm already up here, and I start to hear my friend in my head, and so here I am. But 38 minutes later, I mean, but yes, I am starting to feel lightheaded, so I'm going to wrap up. But it's scary. It's scary to possibly get a new diagnosis that that you've lost a loved one with, two essentially, but the one didn't pass from that. That people can die young, that can be a progressive disorder. But it does seem like there's a lot of talk about how if you do certain management things, then you're managing it, and you're managing it to the best of your ability. And the nice thing about this disorder, your condition, is that there are some things that you can do that are purely holistic. Diet, exercise, um, adjusting your diet based on what your readings are and that. Maybe spirit reading isn't the only type of reading, and reading aren't the only type of reading that's meant to be doing in this life, Um, and I am a late bloomer, so I mean, so Like I haven't went into it either, but like I said, I get so lightheaded sometimes. Yeah, it's she says, okay, well we'll let you wrap this up then, but all you guys can do is your best around this, and I wish you well, and we'll talk again soon. And I see her kind of leaving and walking behind my dad, and they wave and they smile. Feeling their love, feeling their encouragement really means a lot to me. But yeah, I'm going to wrap this up.